Francis Hunt, the market sniper, the crypto sniper. It's a pleasure to have you back on Real Vision. Really looking forward to this show. I know you've got a lot of material to cover, but first I should say your analysis begins in the traditional macro space, looking at traditional FX, euro dollar, euro Swissy, all of these important pairs. Give us a sense, Francis, of why this framework is so important to people in the crypto space to understand what's happening right now in crypto markets.
Excellent question, and one that should be explained. This is going to be absolutely empirical and pivotal to the crypto markets. What we are observing is what's going on in the outer world outside of crypto space that actually is very material to the crypto space. In fact, crypto in many senses is the replacement financial system for a foreign exchange stroke commercial banking, retail banking existence that has prevailed since the Bretton Woods system with floating currencies. The failure of the FX system will see the extreme moves and the outcomes of that bleed into and will be the maturing moments for crypto as the replacement. So when we discuss individual FX pairs, we're talking about nation states, countries, cultures, products, very interesting. But when we talk about a major dislocation in currencies, this is going to be a key driver, because one of the options that never existed when these FX moves occurred before, such as the breaking of the pound under George Soros, is that there was no alternative money systems that existed. In other words, you ran to the dollar if it didn't involve the dollar. You ran to silver or gold if it was a lot of currencies, think the Asian crisis and very many things. Now we have real, viable, trillion market cap, not tens of billions. We need institutions to run. We need individuals, family home offices. We need to see captured currency escaping into what they may see an alternative. And now crypto, in terms of scale, has reached that point that is truly, truly tipping. So what is a failure point on the traditional system is going to bleed into, to a far larger degree than it has ever done previously, into the crypto realm as a viable alternative. And no longer does the dollar, or potentially in some people's cases, precious metals, hold the full monopoly on safe haven assets. Let me also add that bonds at many points were deemed safe haven assets. And with the discussion of interest rates rising, our secular peak call for the 40-year bond bull cycle, one of the other asset classes is no longer considered. We have the possibility that taper will come forward a little bit given the inflationary risks. So as a result, bonds will be on the wrong side of the movement of the market, yields going up and values going down. So when we discuss something like the euro Swiss franc failure, which I'll take you into this chart right here and just recap what is going on here, is that essentially we're seeing a future stream of money, maybe hot money, maybe legal money, no matter what category it is, needing a new place to settle. Some of it will be going into the Swiss franc, but what won't be seen is how much which will be coming into the blockchain, taking its place in Bitcoin. Sometimes more and more people are realizing you've got to speculate to accumulate, and you've got to speculate also to protect the old safe haven assets no longer hold their swell. So when I sit here and I point out three calls on the Swiss franc for failure at the 1.5 that was in 2009, that appeared again in 2015. And I say to you, gentlemen, this moment could be coming for a third time. It is no longer just an FX event. It is going to potentially be, and I described in my previous appearance, the village of currencies, with the dollar being the tallest house in the middle, how we start to fail from the fringes. The euro to the dollar has that binary relationship in that what's good for one is bad for the other, like the seesaw, up and down. So there are alternatives to each other, substitutes for big treasuries and multinationals and corporates. And in that sense, we're going to see flows out of the euro, and some of that won't want the dollar. Some of that won't want bonds. If you buy a dollar, what do? Do you leave it in a bank? that might be at risk? Do you leave it in a bond that the yields are going up and the value's going down? We're going to see inflows on an unheralded level, I suspect, into a fast reducing liquidity availability for Bitcoin and Ethereum, which I'll finish on in the later part of the segment. So what you're actually seeing is a domino that you're normally not watching, that's falling in the distance, that you may not even hear the sound, that will make headlines in the traditional markets that could be very relevant for what's going to happen in the crypto markets. A little point on this potential trade. I also want to highlight to many people, if the dollar gets strong, and we've spoken about Brent Johnson, with someone I came into contact here, thank you to Real Vision for it. He, I think, is with the right theory, just maybe a touch early in terms of his mention, is that we actually fail on dollar strength because of the Triffin's dilemma, a shortage of dollars outside the American system, not on weakness. And that the strengthening of the dollar, it will be at the expense of the failure of the emerging currencies and problematic majors like the euro that I'm going to be highlighting. I'd love to hear people's comments on what they think will be the reasons why. Could be traditional ones like the banking system that won't be new. It could be, Italy was supposedly one of the sources for a variant. It could be any of many things. It could be the fact that they've taken the green agenda very seriously. The carbon, which again, both Raoul and Real Vision has highlighted the carbon credits going up and up, being a really powerful market. The Eurozone only creates 9% of all carbon, but they're taking it far more seriously compared to America that stayed out of the Paris Accord. They're importing inflation on top of their already high energy prices. What happens in inflation? People get hungry, poor get angry, riots, civil unrest, thanks to the huge costs. There was ZeroHedge article saying that 150 trillion will be added over the next 30 years for greening up the world as investment. That's a huge layer, that a lot of which would be great cost. And the Eurozone wants to be at the front of being the implementers of that. And this could prove very short-term dangerous for the euro. The key aspect about this is that this currency has truly spilled when it's let go. There is a real FX trade for those of you that are wanting. Why would a crypto person even be interested in an FX trade? During a dollar dominant phase, the crypto market can rest. It can even pull back. We've had a 55% correction. Some of these ideas are actually counterbalancing the effect of a dominant dollar and the fact that it might dim some of the performance in the crypto space. So hopefully that keeps you all in the game and interested. This is world events. This is the headlines of next year. This is the theme of next year that you're getting in the trade first, that we'll finish the details on later. This is a plunge that I think with a bit of overshoot will run into the 0.6s. Now, some of you will be thinking, I don't know the numbers. I don't even know what a euro Swiss franc is. 1.06 at the moment. In percentage terms, that is a huge move. Forget what you see in cryptos. This is highly large. These are large, lumbering, mature markets with lots of things trading in very tight range. So it's a big call for a euro Swiss franc to spill on a spike similar to that, or a sustained collapsing move with many periods of capitulation like this, and it's going to bring in the new news of what's going on. What does that mean for the euro versus the dollar? For example, is that reflected? And this is how we call 360 analysis, and you can apply these techniques to your crypto assessment in terms of relative strength. We do this all the time in our community. Which one is going to be the baddest, the strongest, which is going to be the absolute weakest? And you have to triangulate often between other cryptos, and you have to look at them in terms of their dominance relative to the overall pool. And I'll be touching on that more when we come back to that.
Hey, if you like this clip, be sure to check out the full interview and more only on realvision.com/crypto. It's 100% free. Sign up now.